in infrastructure, and in support systems to create an enabling environment for health research in the country to generate innovations and solutions to our pressing health problems.
Created in 1982 as a sectoral council of the Department of Science and Technology, the PCHRD is mandated to coordinate all health research in the country. In 2013, the passage of Republic Act 10532, or the PNHRS law, further strengthened the PCHRD's leadership role in the Philippine National Health Research System as the national coordinating body for health research. The PCHRD has grown and expanded its services in the areas of agenda setting, research management, capacity building, research dissemination, translation, and utilization, resource mobilization, and national and international collaborations. The Council, together with the Department of Health, the Commission on Higher Education, and the National Institutes of Health of UP Manila, sets the national agenda for health research. It does this by formulating the six-year National Unified Health Research Agenda, or NURA, which guides researchers who are seeking research funding. This national agenda setting exercise was cited by the Council for Health Research and Development in Geneva as a model for low to middle income countries in 2006. Within the NURA and the Harmonized National R&D Agenda, the Council supports collaborative research on drug discovery and development, omic technologies for health, functional foods, nutrition and food safety, dengue and other arboviruses, diagnostics, mental health, biomedical engineering and health technologies, information and communication technology for health, and disaster risk reduction and climate change adaptation for health. In other areas of the research agenda, the PCHRD teams up with the Department of Health in managing its health systems and policy research, and with the Philippine Health Insurance Corporation on healthcare financing. These partnerships augur well for the implementation of the Universal Health Care Act. The PCHRD promotes health research ethics as the country's commitment to the protection of the rights, welfare, and well-being of human participants in research. Together with the Philippine Health Research Ethics Board, or FREB, the highest policy-making body for ethical issues in human health research, the Council aims to strengthen institutional ethics review boards from registration to accreditation. Generated from the funded projects of the Council were important healthcare policies, products, and services. Even before the passage of the Technology Transfer Law of 2009, the Council already undertook technology commercialization, which seeded the growth of medicinal plant products in the country. Lagundi for cough and Sambonga's treatment for kidney stones are now household names. The Council's support for a dengue diagnostic kit led to the creation of the first startup company out of the UP system. Now the award-winning biotech M-Aqua kit is available in the market with sensitivity and specificity comparable to the standard test, but at a much lower cost. The Council's experience in technology transfer show the importance of the private sector as a partner. In 2012, the PCHRD was the first council that invested in a joint research with the industry through the Orthopedic International Incorporated. This joint research led to the Access Knee System for arthritis, which is now used by orthopedic surgeons for patients needing knee replacement in the country and soon in Asia. Built for Filipinos and other Asians, the Access Knee System cost 40 to 50% lower than what's currently in the market. With health innovations in the pipeline, the Council is, at the same time, building the capacity of research institutions and researchers to make sure that research projects are technology and industry ready. Research for evidence-informed policy making is an equally important path for our research outputs. Our supported researches contributed to the development of the expanded program on immunization, the Newborn Screening Act, the National Health Insurance Act, the Philippine National Health Research System Act, the National Integrated Cancer Control Act, and the Universal Healthcare Act. The PCHRD established the country's first online databases and information services through its Health Research and Development Information Network platform of Unified Research Information Management Systems, or HERDIN Plus. It is the only national health research repository containing more than 60,000 records. This resource is linked with the Western Pacific Region Index Medicus and subsequently the Global Index Medicus. The expertise that the Council developed in online databases allowed it to come up with a clinical trials registry with the Food and Drug Administration and an online project management system. To ensure that the country has a cadre of researchers who will undertake needed researches, the PCHRD provides scholarships, research fellowships, and other assistance for capacity building. The PCHRD is also developing a new crop of clinical researchers through our MD-PhD program and Masters in Molecular Medicine. The pioneering MD-PhD program is the only degree program in the Philippines that combines the features of MD and PhD courses in one, offering a unique opportunity for some of the best and aspiring young Filipino scientists to train for careers dedicated to the advancement of health through biomedical research. The Council's research fellowship programs are opportunities for collaborative R&D and capacity building for Filipino researchers through partnerships with leading research institutions worldwide. There are also incentives for young researchers to go into research careers. Likewise, recognition is given to mentors who share their expertise with beginning researchers. Equity in development. This is what PCHRD had in mind from its inception. In 1984, the first regional research consortium was formed. To date, each of the 17 regions has a research consortium, including the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao Health Research and Development Consortium. The idea is to capacitate each region towards self-determination in health research, thus increasing the country's research pool and research productivity. One feature of the regional consortia is the Regional Research Fund. This is a strategy of the Council to encourage new researchers to be actively involved in health research activities without having to compete with more experienced researchers. RRF projects are intended to build the capabilities of researchers in designing, implementing, and managing health research projects.
This is very consistent with our goal or our program of expanding our R&D base, our R&D pool, particularly spreading it across the country so that these research institutions located in various parts of the country can take up the challenge of addressing the needs in the region and also taking advantage of the opportunities that are available in the region.
Technology transcends nation-state borders. The Council sees integration of economic blocks, such as our own ASEAN, as one economic community. Over the years, The Council has slowly built its partnerships with international organizations and programs. Among these are ASEAN Network for Drugs, Diagnostics, Vaccines, and Traditional Medicines Innovation, the regional platform for collaborative R&D among the member states of ASEAN in collaboration with the World Health Organization TDR, the Special Program for Research and Training in Tropical Diseases, Newton Agham Program, E-Asia Joint Research Program, Southeast Asia-Europe Joint Funding Scheme for Research and Innovation, and ASEAN Science and Technology Innovation Fund. The Council also has partnerships with some of the world's leading research institutions, such as the United States National Institutes of Health, the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, Mayo Clinic, Harvard University, and Massachusetts General Hospital, among others. What sustains a health research system is communication. With this in mind, the Council maximizes the use of traditional and new media. Partnership is employed as a strategic approach. Partnership with media, partnership with the regional consortium's communication teams, and partnership with everyone who shares the Council's vision.
The DOS PCHRD is composed of professionals who are up to their game and know exactly what the country needs for the health sector.
Decades may have passed, but the PCHRD's mandate remains the same. PCHRD, making your life better.
May baon ako. May baon ako. Right.
Okay, good morning, everyone, to our esteemed panel of experts, our friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen. We are very happy that you are able to join us today. I am your moderator, Associate Professor Rowena Grace Sanchez from the University of the Philippines in Diliman. Welcome once again to Talakayang Heartbeat, a media conference organized by the Department of Science and Technology, Philippine Council for Health Research and Development, or DOST-PCHRD. As a recap, Talakayang Heartbeat was launched by DOST-PCHRD way back in 2019 to disseminate the latest updates in health research and to facilitate dialogues between health research stakeholders, the media, and the greater Filipino community. The name Heartbeat stands for Health Research and Technology Beat and has been a very strategic way for the science community to interface with the media and the general public are exciting projects on health R&D. Before we proceed with the program proper, let me share with you a few house rules to ensure a smooth flow for our discussion and a truly engaging program. First, we'd like to ask our virtual audience to please mute your mic and turn off your camera unless otherwise requested, especially later on during our Q&A. And speaking of Q&A, should you have any questions regarding the presentations, please feel free to drop them in the Q&A panel, which can be found at the bottom of your Zoom screen. We will make sure to address them once we proceed to the Q&A segment at the latter part of the program. Most importantly, we'd like to encourage everyone to please share this virtual event to your networks and contacts. If you have friends or colleagues who are having problems connecting to Zoom, please do invite them to join us through our Facebook live stream on the DOST-PCHRD Facebook page at facebook.com/DOST-PCHRD. To officially begin our program, may we request everyone to pay attention to your screens for the singing of the Philippine National Anthem, to be followed by a short prayer.
Amigo. ever-loving Father, the core of every reason, the source of truth. You who made the earth and the heavens are the ultimate goal of every knowledge seekers, the infinite wisdom, the cause of all that is good. We are truly grateful for this opportunity to gather together as a community despite the challenges we face each day. Yet you remained and gave us strength to carry on the responsibilities of bearing intelligence and using them for better purposes. We now humbly ask you to join us in our endeavor to explore the wonders of life in the world for knowledge's sake, that in whatever we learn today, we become more grounded to you, who is truth, who is love. We pray that you bless our speakers, the fount of your infinite knowledge, that they can share something worthwhile despite the limited time we have. They can channel all they know and share to us the beauty and truth of living as your child. We pray that you guide our participants, the seekers of your boundless knowledge, that they may continue to persevere in the search and be deemed worthy to share what they learn from today's session. Sanctify us, O Lord, not because we are worthy of it, but because we believe in your love and mercy, that at the end of today, we can take home something that's amazing and meaningful. This we ask and pray through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Okay, now to formally start the program, let us all welcome the Executive Director of DOST-PCHRD and Lead Coordinator of the Philippine National Health Research System, Dr. Jaime C. Montoya.
The Department of Science and Technology Secretary Fortunato T. de la Peña, DOST Undersecretary for Research and Development Rowena Cristina Guevara, to our project leaders, Dr. Torio, Dr. Reyes, Dr. Israel, and Dr. Atienza, to our media partners, stakeholders, colleagues from DOST, and participants, good morning. I am pleased to welcome you all today as we hold the third installment of this year's virtual Talakayang Heartbeat. This month, we are proud to showcase our completed and ongoing projects under the Functional Food Research Program, an R&D area that focuses on the possible health advantages of crops and food products beyond their distinctive nutritional benefits for the prevention of non-communicable diseases. In this era, where we still continue to fight malnutrition amid the COVID-19 pandemic, it is high time that we accelerate our efforts to find healthier alternatives to conventional foods. Through this program, we aim to bring scientific and up-to-date quality data on crops and food products and take advantage of the abundant agricultural products we have here in the Philippines. It is our aim to improve the nutritional status of our fellow Filipinos by building strong foundations of knowledge on functional foods through R&D. Today, you'll witness our progress and the fruit of our initiatives in partnership with our Filipino researchers as we share with you the findings of our supported projects under the Functional Food Program. As I welcome all of you to today's Talakayang Heartbeat, let me also encourage everyone to help share the knowledge we will gain from this event and share this with other people to spread awareness and understanding about our scientific efforts to improve the nutritional status of every Filipino. I would also like to congratulate our project leaders for a job well done and for responding to the problems that need scientific solutions for the welfare of our people. Maraming salamat po at magandang agham sa inyong lahat.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Jimmy. Today, we will focus on some of the research projects dedicated to functional food. As pointed out by Dr. Jimmy earlier, improving the functional status of our fellow Filipinos is important, especially in this era where we are still fighting malnutrition amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. And as such, the role of R&D in bringing scientific and up-to-date quality data on crops and food products is extremely important. Now, I am sure we are all excited to finally see the projects we will feature today. Without further ado, let me give the virtual floor to the Department of Science and Technology Secretary, Fortunato de la Peña, to give the presentation on functional food projects.
Thank you very much. To our DOST Undersecretary for R&D, Rowena Cristina Guevara, to our DOST Philippine Council for Health Research and Development Executive Director, Dr. Jaime Montoya, to our esteemed panel of experts, we have Dr. Mary Anto, Dr. Lisel Atienza, of course, to our moderator, Professor Rowena Grace Sanchez, to our friends and colleagues from the media, and to everyone joining us live, magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. We are pleased to meet all of you again for this third installment of the Talakayang Heartbeat for 2021. In the last two sessions, we discussed our initiatives on COVID-19 and disaster risk reduction and climate change adaptation in health. Today, we shift our focus to another one of our research priority area, and this is the functional food program. Next slide, please. The Philippines is considered to be one of the world's most mega diverse countries. It is home to a wide variety of species of flora and fauna, which makes it a rich source of crops and food products which can offer health advantages. Recognizing this potential compels us to tap our very own wealth to innovate and generate solutions. Slide, please. Accordingly, one of the main priority research areas of the DOST PCHRD is the Functional Food Program. Under this program, the Council provides support to research projects focused on evaluating the health advantages of crops and food products, which may offer beyond their distinctive nutritional benefits for the prevention of non-communicable diseases. Some projects under the program can be considered as an offshoot of our Tuklas Lunas or drug discovery program, and wherein whose edible plants or crops identified as bioactive and safe can be developed as functional foods, food products or ingredients. Next slide. Let me just guide you, although these may not be easily legible. On the leftmost side, we have, of course, the priority commodities, and we identify them through data mining, basically from folkloric information. And then we add to this the information that we get from our Council for Agriculture, PICARD, on the cultural management of these priority commodities. Then we proceed to the characterization of these commodities, and that would include the safety assays like toxicity and biological assays, for example, those that are enzyme-based, okay? And from here, we establish the health benefits, okay, after characterization. So we use in vitro and in vivo assays. And after the establishment of these health benefits, we proceed to the product development stage. Now, this is an iterative process, okay, the product development stage. And so you can see an arrow there going back to establishment of health benefits. And finally, we come up with products. It can either be the functional food itself or the functional ingredients, okay, which actually in turn is used in the production of functional food. Next slide, please. There are 9 priority commodities currently, okay? This includes root crops, seaweeds, edible mushrooms, local berries, turmeric, pili, malunggay, unpolished pigmented rice, BCO, and other coconut products. But I think we can add other fruits also. For example, in this presentation, we will have a discussion on mango as a possible functional food for hypertension. Let's go to the next slide. Covering the program's initiatives from 2019 to 2021, we have invested more than 108 million pesos in research and development being functional foods. So I will share you the latest updates on some of these projects. Next slide, please. There are actually, I think, 3 projects that will be highlighted here today, those that are mushroom-based. Then we have the berries, and then we have a study on mango. Okay, so for the mushroom-based functional food, okay, that are sourced from the Luzon Island, University is one of the designated Tuklas Lunas development centers in our country. It is the only Tuklas Lunas Development Center which specializes in research on drug discovery of wild edible mushrooms from the Central Luzon region. Through the leadership of Dr. Renato Reyes, the CLSU conducts studies on local edible and poisonous mushrooms as possible sources of compounds that can be developed into drug leads. One component of this project is the development of functional foods. So the development of functional foods from mushroom is a continuation of the research done during the first year of the project, where the team explored the nutrition profile of mushrooms. Okay? Based on the results of this project, the project now aims to develop food products with anti-hypertensive, anti-diabetic, and anti-inflammatory properties. Next slide, please. We have the updates coming from CLSU. Okay. First, the team was already able to work on the development of 7 food products from mushrooms. This includes chips, furikake flakes, instant tea, ready-to-drink mushroom-infused soy coffee, mushroom tempura, shingaling, and furikake paste. They also were able to work on the development of a mushroom powder, which can be used as a food ingredient. And all of these products are currently being tested for anti-diabetic, anti-hypertensive, and anti-inflammatory properties. Next slide, please. As a continuation of the report, okay, update from mushrooms, the team also completed market research to assess the preferences of its market segment and determine the target consumers' view towards mushroom-based products. They are now gearing for commercialization of the mushroom tempura in partnership with Nagaños Farm. Next slide, please. Now, what are the benefits of the project outputs? As the products are results of extensive research, both the final products and raw materials used are rich in nutritional value. Given that the materials were sourced from our very own biodiversity, the snacks will provide health benefits at an affordable price. Now we move on to the next example. And yeah, we have here the Berry Pinoy, exploring the potentials of Philippine indigenous berries as functional food. Okay, so our country also has a diverse collection of indigenous berries with exceptional nutritional value. To tap this potential, we are also supporting studies being conducted at the UP Los Baños, and this is led by Dr. Catherine Ann Castillo Israel and Dr. Lisel Atienza. Now, what are the objectives of this study? In general, both studies aim to provide credible scientific evidence to back the health claims of existing berries-based foods in the market. Both Bignay and Lipote are tested for antioxidant, anti-obesity, and properties that work against associated metabolic disorders such as oxidative stress and inflammation. It follows that both projects also aim to increase cultivation and allow berry farmers to promote their produce as a high-value crop. Now, continuation of benefits, specifically the projects with Castillo, Israel, aims to determine the antioxidative property or the ability to prevent or slow down cell damage of local berries while taking into consideration their maturity and processing conditions. Meanwhile, the project by Dr. Lisel Atienza aims to check the safety profile of local berries and their efficacy in addressing obesity-associated metabolic disorders. Now, what are the latest updates? To date, Dr. Castillo Israel's team has completed the screening of compounds from Bignay and Lipote for antioxidant properties. Interim results are being analyzed to determine whether the antioxidizing properties are affected by the maturity of the berries and their processing conditions. And they have also done the validation of the antioxidant profiles, but this is still ongoing. Now, on the other hand, Dr. Atienza's team was already able to determine the nutritional and phytochemical composition of Lipote and Bignay. They have already conducted the toxicity test for Bignay and Lipote in vivo. They have tested the efficacy of Bignay and Lipote against obesity, hyperlipidemia, and associated metabolic disorders like oxidative stress and inflammation. But this is still ongoing. And they have prepared for the publication of research articles to share the current laboratory findings to the public and relevant stakeholders. Okay, so madadagdagan na yung ating gamit ng Bignay. I have seen many different brands of Bignay wine, okay, done by our SMEs in the different regions. Now we move on to mango. Mango as a possible alternative source of anti-hypertensive compounds. The WHO identified hypertension as one of the major causes of premature death in the world. It is considered as one of the pressing health concerns in the Philippines also. To support ongoing efforts to prevent hypertension, we funded the study of Dr. Mary Ann Torrio of the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. The objectives of the study are to isolate, purify, and evaluate the anti-hypertensive activity of compounds derived from Carabao mango samples sourced from Batangas, Zambales, Guimaras, and Davao. By doing so, it aims to provide information on whether these mangoes can be a possible alternative source of anti-hypertensive compound. So ito yung Carabao mango. Now, what have they done to date? The team was able to complete the isolation and purification of crude proteins and peptides from mango samples from all 4 target provinces. They also completed the assessment of the differences of anti-hypertensive activities demonstrated by the samples based on the maturity of the source fruit and its source province. The team was also able to identify which specific compounds possess anti-hypertensive properties by analyzing the protein sequences of the mangoes. If successful, the project can serve as a baseline for the development of an anti-hypertensive functional food or provide inputs to the possible development of a herbal supplement. Aside from mangoes being accessible in the country, this is also important as natural sources and may have lesser side effects compared to synthetic drugs. Siguro kailangan lang i-check baka naman na sa mango ng hypertensive, baka naman tumaas ang sugar, ano. Well, by pursuing studies on the development of functional food, we hope to provide additional benefits for the Filipino people by building on resources that are easily accessible for us. Siguro marami pang po pwedeng araling fruits, ano? Hindi lang mango, no? Marami diyan, lahat ng ginagamit natin pangsigang, bayabas, kamyas, sampalok. Siguro dapat aralin ang kanilang potential as functional food. I also like to thank and congratulate our researchers for their notable contributions and progress in pursuing the development of functional food. And to all our media partners for today, I hope that you will take this opportunity to ask questions and to learn more about our projects. To build on solidarity and work together to advance science, technology, and innovation, I am confident that we can help make lives better for the Filipino. Maraming salamat po at magandang umaga sa ating lahat.
Okay, thank you, Secretary De La Peña, for the in-depth discussion on the objectives, intended impact, as well as the latest updates on these projects. So at this point, we will now welcome our panel of experts into the virtual floor to address your questions. Prior to this event, we have compiled the questions sent to us in advance by the attendees, which we will try to go through first. If you have additional questions, you may drop them in the Zoom Q&A panel or the Facebook comment section, along with your name and affiliation. So we will try to address as many live questions as possible. So allow me to introduce our esteemed panel of experts. As I call your name, may we request you to open your camera. First, we have DOST Secretary Fortunato T. De La Peña, Undersecretary for Research and Development, Dr. Rowena Cristina Guevara, DOST PCHRD Executive Director, Dr. Jaime Montoya, project leaders for our functional food projects, Dr. Mary Ann Torrio, project leader for the angiotensin 1 converting enzyme or ACE inhibitory peptides from mangoes in selected provinces in the Philippines. Dr. Renato Reyes, project leader for myco-mining and myco-farming of wild edible and poisonous mushrooms in Luzon Island, Philippines, for their medicinal properties for the project development of mushroom-based functional foods. Dr. Catherine Israel, project leader for Philippine indigenous berries, bioactive components, and in vitro biochemical activities. And finally, we also have Dr. Lizelle Atienza, project leader for Philippine indigenous berries in vivo studies on toxicity and effect on biomarkers of obesity and associated metabolic disorders. Good morning and welcome po sa lahat. So without further ado, allow me to read the first question, which is directed to Secretary Fortunato De La Peña. Sir,
Yes.
aside from developing functional foods, what are the other initiatives of the DOST in supporting a better health by leveraging our very own resources?
Yes, first of all, yun namang ating Tuklas Lunas program, hindi lang functional food ang ating target. So ito ay pwede ring mag-lead sa development ng drugs, okay, therapeutics, and although we have two paths along the way, ano, yung iba pwede nating i-develop into medicines, ano, katulad ng ginawa natin sa ating Lagundi, sa ating Sambong, ginagawa ngayon sa Tawa-Tawa. Pero yung iba naman ay pwedeng i-discover lang natin yung active ingredients na pwedeng gamitin sa pag-synthesize ng drugs, at ito ay pwede nang i-alok, ano, or make available sa ating mga pharmaceutical companies. Siguro idagdag na rin natin na marami rin tayong inaaral na mga tungkol sa nutrisyon, ano. Mahalagang bagay kasi ang ating nutrisyon, at isang malaking problema natin ang malnutrition hanggang ngayon. Kaya ito ay pinagtutuunan ng pansin ng ating Philippine Council for Health Research and Development or PCHRD, at meron din kaming isang particular na Research and Development Institute na devoted sa talagang sa nutrition studies. Ito ang Food and Nutrition Research Institute na diyan dinidiskubre ang iba't ibang mga pwedeng pagkain na pwede nating ma-develop na ika nga affordable na ay nutritious pa. At iba't ibang sektor din ang ating tina-target. Meron tayo yung mga children, yung mga even below 1 year, yung 2 years old, yung 1,000 days. Merong hanggang 5 taon, merong sa teenagers ngayon, meron tayong project ngayon. At meron din tayo sa mga mothers, lactating mothers, pregnant women, nangangailangan sila ng tamang nutrisyon. Gayun din ang ating mga tumatandang mga sektor, meron na tayong program for geriatric sector na meron tayong nutrition program para diyan. At ginagamit natin ang lahat ng makabagong pamamaraan sa teknolohiya para ito ay magawa, matest, okay? At meron din tayong mga programa na kung saan ang gamot at saka ang pagkain ay pwedeng i-tailor particular sa profile ng isang tao. Hindi como lahat tayo ay hypertensive, pwedeng isang klaseng gamot lang. Kung pwedeng i-tailor talaga sa kung ano ang iyong profile, depende sa iyong genetic makeup, okay, ay pwedeng mag-recommend ng tamang gamot. Okay? So marami tayong ginagawa sa health, nutrition, and functional foods.
Okay, thank you, sir. So another question is for Yusek Guevara. So what are the pathways that researchers or institutions can take in pushing for the commercialization of projects such as these functional food products? So does the OST also provide support to researchers for commercialization, ma'am?
Professor Sanchez, thank you for that question. I'm very happy that that is being asked so that we can also remind our researchers that DOST expects technology transfer at the end of the project. One of the ways that they can start would be to protect the intellectual property for whatever research output they have. We hope that they'll be able to produce a product. To that end, DOST extends support from the filing of the intellectual property rights, protection, all the way to almost the commercialization part of the project. So for example, we have some sort of assistance to startup in case the researchers would like to do a spin-off for their research output. And we also have a way of supporting startups that are commercializing research outputs of our researchers. We also support technology business incubators all over the country. We have about 48 of them, such that our researchers, if they have a technology business incubator in their own university, can go there and be assisted in case they would like to do a startup. We also assist our researchers and guide them in having licensing agreements for whatever research IP that they have, that they would like to transfer to a private sector who is interested in commercializing their products. So we have a lot of support for them because we would like them to succeed. And of course, we would like our research output to be of benefit to the Filipino people.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. That's good news for our researchers. Our next question is for Dr. Montoya, sir. With the diverse resources that we can tap, what are the factors you consider in identifying the list of commodities that you prioritize for research funding under the Functional Food Program? So would the Council also consider supporting projects outside of the identified priority commodities, sir?
Thank you very much again, Professor Sanchez, for those questions. Yes, of course, we encourage our researchers to pursue work on functional foods because this is actually the start of the process. If you will note, the process that was actually shown by Secretary de la Peña, you will actually see that the first step for considering a possible functional food
is really from experience. And most of our local communities have knowledge regarding the use of some of these foods that we actually take for granted, but we don't realize have an additional benefit on top of their actual nutritive value. So that is one way that we will source out the possible list. It's really from the experiences of our local communities. So we have an ongoing survey of this traditional knowledge from north to south, which contributes to our traditional knowledge digital library. Some of them will actually go into drug development, but some of them will also go into functional food development. So that's one. Of course, the other one is our students who actually pursue research. And I can specifically name our pharmacy students, our nutrition students. They do actually basic work on functional food. And whether we fund them initially or not, if the results are interesting, they can actually go to us so that we can review the potential based on the results that they've generated, and maybe in the future fund them as well. But of course, you know, we do not have limitless resources. That is a reality. But of course, we will look at all of them and see what they are used for. For example, the source, the natural source. Is there enough natural sources for the food that we're talking of? The second one is, what is indication? Does it actually address an important cause of morbidity or mortality? So those are some of the things we look at. Sorry. And those are the possible criteria we look for in order to find out whether this is a good candidate for functional foods. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Meron po tayong katanungan galing kay Miss Annabel Surara. This is for Dr. Torrio. So, ma'am, ano po ang mayroon sa mangga at considered siya as functional food? Salamat po.
Okay, magandang umaga po. At this point, I would like to thank the OSTPCHRD for funding my research. Maraming salamat po. So, ang mangga po ay usually kinakain lang po natin siya as para pong panghimagas. So, noong amin pong tingnan yung kanya pong protein profile, and then we subjected the purified proteins to hydrolysis. So, we found out that there are peptides released from these proteins. And these peptides are actually inhibiting anti-hypertensive properties. So specifically, nagkakaroon po sila ng interaction with the angiotensin converting enzyme. That enzyme is the one responsible for converting angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2. Angiotensin 2 is a known vasoconstrictor. So yun po yung dahilan kung bakit po nag-i-increase yung blood pressure. Actually, isa lang naman po ito sa mga pathways kung ba't nag-i-increase yung blood pressure. So ang mangga po, nakitaan po namin na mga peptides dito, maliliit lang po na peptides, maliliit lang po na molecules ito na pwede pong maka-inhibit doon po sa tinatawag natin na angiotensin converting enzyme. So makakatulong po siya sa pagpapababa po ng blood pressure. So yun po yung nakitaan namin kung bakit po pwedeng i-consider ang mango as a functional food.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Torrio. So, bakit daw po specifically Carabao mangoes yung pinag-aralan natin?
Actually, may mga previous studies din po ako sa Indian mango at saka po yung pico. So, ang nakitaan po namin ng pinakamataas na inhibition against ACE ay yung pong Carabao mango. Specifically, yung pong medyo hinog na po. Ayun po. So, may tinatawag po kasi tayong shell colors po. Actually, yung pong pag-identify, kung siya po ay hinog na o hindi. Ito po ay nanggaling sa isa sa mga studies ng isa po ko pong kasama sa panel ngayon, si Dr. Israel. So nakita po na hinog na, yung medyo hinog na po ay talagang siya po yung may pinakamataas na anti-hypertensive activity. So yun po.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Torrio. So we have another question. This one is for Dr. Reyes. Okay, so, sir, when will your products be available in the market? So in the future, do you plan to expand the production capacity and probably export?
Yes, actually, yan ang isang sa mga pangarap ko. Naalala ko nung unang na-evaluate yung proyekto at napansin ito ng PCHRD at binigyan ng halaga. Ang naisin ko noon ay makilala yung mga produktong Pinoy sa labas ng bansa. Okay? At ito ay magmumula base sa aming kakayahan at kasanayan ay magsisimula sa mushroom. Okay, maraming mga produkto na na-develop ngayon ang Central Luzon State University, Tuklas Lunas Center, of course sa tulong ng DOST, napansin to ng DOST. At itong mga produktong ito ay definitely makakarating sa market, pero idadaan natin sa tamang proseso. Initially, meron tayong pakikipag-ugnayan sa isang dati nating mushroom trainee na nagpo-produce ng maraming kabute at nagpo-produce na rin ito, gumagawa na rin ito ng mga produkto. Kaya lang itong mga produktong ito ay mga traditional food, yung mga ordinary food. And through our research project that is being funded by DOST PCHRD, nabibigyan ngayon ng karagdagang kaalaman ang pagkain, okay? Kabutihan ng pagkain at ito ay yung pagkaing gamot. So, meron tayong proseso, no? Meron tayong proseso na gagawin para mailagay ng tama ang produkto sa palengke. Para yung tinatawag nating branding, yung Philippine mushrooms in the market. When I say Philippine mushrooms in the market, I'm referring to the local as well as international market.
Thank you, sir. So sir, other than mushrooms from Central Luzon, do you have future plans to conduct research studies on other mushrooms from other areas in the Philippines?
Yes. Sana yung dalangin natin, yung panalangin natin na matapos na yung COVID para tayo ay makapunta sa ibang bahagi ng Pilipinas. Kasi ang dami nating mga mushroom na nasa wild na napaka-interesting. So far, base sa aming pag-aaral, nakapag-identify na kami ng mga 500 kabute dito lang sa Luzon. And these are interesting mushrooms. Okay, naakala natin nung una, itong mga kabuting ito ay mga exotic. Ibig sabihin, na-introduce lang sa Pilipinas, only to find out na meron pala dito sa atin. Pagkatapos meron pang mga hindi pa reported na merong mga medicinal values. Kaya nga nakaka-interest eh. Ako very excited ako na makita halimbawa ang kabundukan at ng Mindanao at saka ng Visayas at magkaroon ng social interaction with the people, with the Filipinos in the Visayas as well as in Mindanao, apart from Luzon. Sa Luzon nga, hindi pa rin tayo tapos dahil hindi pa natin ito nagalugad. Okay, natutuwa ako dahil nakikipagtulungan yung mga taong bayan, no? Para magkaroon ng science-based approach yung ating mga produkto. Patungkol sa kabute, siyempre.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Reyes. So we also have here a question for Dr. Israel.
Professor Sanchez,
yes.
Meron ako naisip kasi kinuha ko lang sa sinabi ni Dr. Reyes. Magandang tagline, kabutihan ng kabute. Ano masasabi niyo doon? Kabutihan ng kabute.
Maganda, sir. Pwedeng marketing.
Ganda, di ba? Ang ganda. So, anyway. Sige, thank you.
Okay, thank you po. Kay Dr. Israel naman po. So, based on the results of the study, what are the factors that affect the antioxidant properties of bignay and lipote? So, would you consider the results promising?
Yan. Okay, good morning everyone. Good morning po sa lahat ng panelists. And thank you PCHRD for giving us funding for our project. Yan, kasama ko po si Dr. Atienza. So regarding the question, based on our results, we have studied the effect of maturity of the fruit. So we considered the unripe, the half-ripe, and the full-ripe stages. And then we also separated the seeds from the flesh. So we also considered the fruit part. And then we also considered pre-processing treatments such as blanching at 90 degrees Celsius for 2 minutes. And then the other is steam blanching at 105 for 5 minutes. So these are the factors that we considered in our study. And based on the results, we have found out that the full ripe stage of Bignay has the highest antioxidant properties, and then the flesh has higher antioxidant properties than the seeds, and surprisingly, the blanched treatment exhibited the highest antioxidant properties. So we were expecting that if we subject it to heat, that the antioxidant properties would somehow decrease. However, it is evident that subjecting it to heat, low heat, and not boiling, and for a short time, in fact, increase the antioxidant properties. So there must be the effect of helping the antioxidants be released from the cells due to the heat treatment. And then also there. So, and then with Lepote, we found out that the unripe stage has the highest antioxidant properties, and the seeds has higher antioxidant properties compared to the flesh and the unripe stage. So, and also the blanched treatment has the highest antioxidant properties. However, if we will develop it into functional food, we cannot actually use Lepote, the unripe stage, because it is very astringent and very sour. However, the ripe stage has an equally high antioxidant properties than Bignay. So we can actually use the ripe stage. But for the development into some nutraceuticals, maybe we can look into the unripe stage of Lepote because it exhibited the highest antioxidant properties.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, may isa pa pong katanungan. So given these results, sa palagay nyo daw po ba pwede na nating ipangtapat ang Lepote at Bignay sa imported berries natin?
Yes. Yes, ma'am. So actually, we have some comparisons done based on literature. And we found out that in terms of some specific antioxidant parameters, our berries are far more superior than our raspberries. So in terms of total phenolics, it's about double the phenolics content of raspberries and blackberries. And then for anthocyanins as well, so about 1/10 or times 10, 10-fold higher ang ating total anthocyanins ng Bignay compared with the strawberries and blueberries. And for Lepote, we have almost 7 times fold higher ascorbic acid compared to kiwi. So those were our findings. So I can say that our berries, these berries, have really superior antioxidant properties at pwede po natin itong ipangtapat sa mga imported berries natin.
Okay, sa good news po yan para sa atin. So, may katanungan din po tayo for Dr. Atienza. Dr. Atienza, would taking Bignay and Lepote alone help those who are aiming for weight loss? So, yung mga nagpapapayat daw. Or would further processing of the berries be needed to maximize the intended benefits?
Hello po, good morning. Good morning po sa DOST. Thank you for the funding and good morning to all the panelists and audience. So to answer that, when it comes to weight loss, we know that there is no superfood. Wala pong superfood that can promote weight loss. No? Wala tayong single food na kinukonsider that can promote weight loss. But not all foods are equal in terms of their ability to support weight loss. So when it comes to fruits, we can say that superior po ang mga antioxidant-rich foods. Tulad ng na-mention po ni Ma'am Katsi, ito po yung lumabas sa aming pag-aaral na ang lipote and bignay are really very good in antioxidants. So let me just also mention how antioxidants help in weight reduction and as well as in reducing the risk to obesity-related diseases like heart diseases, diabetes, and cancer. So as we all know, ang pinaka-culprit po ng mga sakit ngayon ay ang katabaan. At ang katabaan ay kinoconsist or dinidescribe ng maraming fat cells in the body. Alam natin, ang mga fat cells is a storehouse of pro-inflammatory and anti-inflammatory compounds. Ito rin ang storehouse or parang ng mga harmful substances na tinatawag na mga reactive oxygen species na hindi natin dapat hayaang mataas ang level nito because it can cause cell injury as well as it can also disrupt po yung parang cell signaling pathways at the molecular level. So sa tulong po ng mga antioxidants, nababawasan ang level ng oxidative stress or yung build-up of reactive oxygen species at saka ang level of inflammation, and so mas natutulungan po ang katawan na makaiwas sa mga obesity-related diseases. So yun po ang kumbaga cellular and molecular simple explanation on how antioxidants can support weight reduction and mga obesity-related diseases. And going back to the question, kung yun lang po ba ang kailangan, hindi po. Pero pwede po nating palitan yung mga commonly consumed fruits or antioxidant-rich foods with these berries. Kasi alam po natin when it comes to antioxidants, berries talaga is considered as the number one source of antioxidants. And it is also low in calories. Mababa po ang enerhiya na makukuha dito on a per 100 gram basis when compared with other fruits. Mababa din po ang sugar content niya compared sa mga tropical fruits. Tapos ay mataas din po ang kanyang fiber. Tapos marami din po siyang moisture. Around 85 to 95% po ang moisture content ng mga berries. So doon pa lang sa mga parameters na ito ay masasabi natin na maganda talaga siyang pang-support sa weight loss. At sa mga tao na gusto na mapababa ang kanilang risk or ma-manage well ang kanilang mga obesity-related conditions like diabetes or heart disease.
So tama po ma'am na processing will enhance the benefits from the berries. Like yung nasabi kanina ni Dr. Israel na slight heating or blanching actually enhances extraction of the antioxidants. Ganon din po ba dun sa study ninyo?
Magkadugsong po yung aming study ni Dr. Israel. Ano po, tama po that application of small amount of heat at a short period of time like blanching can help soften the food matrix. So marirelease po yung mga bioactive compounds with health promoting properties at saka yung mga antioxidant compounds, making them more bioavailable. Pero for people who have access po naman sa fresh fruits, di naman po natin sinasabi that they have to process pa their berries. No po? Actually, what they can do is to eat it as fresh. Fresh na lang po sana. And nakita po sa mga pag-aaral na ang method po na tinatawag na freeze drying, na ito po yung ginamit naming method doon sa aming animal study, ay nagpipreserve ng antioxidant compounds and antioxidant activities ng ating mga berries and other mga functional food products. Kaya freeze drying po as a method is also very encouraged, although it is a little costly than other methods, pero talaga po when it comes to retention of antioxidants, napakaganda po ng method na ito.
Thank you very much, Dr. Atienza. So ang susunod nating katanungan, probably Yusek Guevara can answer this. So from Miss Christine Gonzalez, we have abundant agri-produce here, especially mangoes. Does the OST collaborate with farmers or the likes for their projects? Nakikipag-collaborate daw po ba tayo sa farmers for such projects?
Thank you for that question. The way that our R&D works, Yung mga researchers kunyari sa PCHRD, when they have identified particular plants that are needed, doon naman sa DOST PICARD, Philippine Council for Agriculture, Aquatic and Natural Resources Research and Development, they develop the agronomical part, no? Yung paano ba itatanim yan, saan itatanim, anong variety, and so on. And we engage universities, both the state universities and colleges, and higher education institutions. And they have the extension program that directly works with the farmers and the fisher folk. So yes, we do have such a program. But the way that we do it is that we fund the higher education institutions or the state universities and colleges, and these institutions are the ones that work directly with the farmers in order to transfer technology. Sabi nga namin sa DOST, we have 3 ways of transferring technology. One is commercialization, which I mentioned a while ago. The second one is what we call for public good, which is given away for free to the public. And the third one is by extension, especially to fisher folks and farmers for technologies generated by our researchers.
Okay, thank you, Yusek Guevara. So meron po tayong katanungan dito sa Facebook from SG Jackie. So I will read the question. With all these projects, is the plan that the general consuming public will utilize more on local medicines for non-communicable diseases and infectious diseases and less from imported drugs so that more medications can be covered by PhilHealth and or affordable? Parang I think this is for Dr. Montoya. So, ang functional foods daw ba ay para mabawasan ang reliance natin sa imported drugs?
Yes, tama. Tama yung sinabi ng ating taga-subaybay na ito'y makatutulong talaga para mabawasan ang ating dependence sa mga imported. Well, unang-una kasi, there is a global trend now for natural. Whatever is natural is best. So, alam naman natin yun, no? Kahit sa processed food, di ba? Pag pinaprocess mo, the more processing is done on anything, mas nababawasan ang kanyang nutritive value. So, kung ating mapapakita na ito ay talagang malaki ang tulong, very rich in nutrients, itong ating mga natural foods like itong mushroom, itong mango, itong berries natin, talagang malaking tulong yan. Kasi unang-una, available yan sa atin. At ikalawa, you don't need to process it or prepare it. No? Although sabi kanina sa berries, blanching will help, but sabi naman nila, pwede rin hindi i-blanch. No, o yung padaanan sa mainit na tubig, no? So, malaking tulong po 'yan. Pero gusto ko rin lang linawin na ito po ay bilang functional food, pero hindi rin po nating tinatanggal yung posibilidad na ito ay mag-proceed to drug development. So, ito rin yung isang simula kasi halimbawa sa pag-aaral nila na-identify nila what makes it work. We can actually separate that so that it can be synthesized para mas madaling gawin at yun ang ating pag-aaralan para maging medicine o drug. So malaking tulong talaga itong functional food kasi bukod sa nakatutulong na sa nutrition ay pwede pang panggalingan ng mga gamot eventually na pwedeng gamitin para sa mga iba't ibang non-communicable diseases.
Thank you, sir. I think related sa huling sinabi nyo tong susunod na question natin for Dr. Torrio. So based on your project, would you say that Carabao mangoes can be a natural source of anti-hypertensive compounds? Does this suggest that the compounds can be used for the development of anti-hypertensive drugs? Dr. Torrio?
Okay, thank you for that question. So, una po, sa ngayon po ay ongoing po yung aming pong project para po talagang malaman namin kung ano po yung tamang concentration o tamang amount po nung halimbawa kakain ka ng mangga, ilang grams, ano po, para po makatulong ano po sa pagbaba o pag-maintain ng pong tamang blood pressure. And then pangalawa, tama po si Dr. Montoya, na pag nakita na po namin yung mga sequences po nitong mga peptides na ito, dahil maliliit lamang naman po sila, pwede po silang i-synthesize. Ano po? Pag na-synthesize na po sila, pwede po silang paramihin, pwede po silang idagdag para pong pang-fortify sa mga foods na available ngayon para po, again, makatulong po sa pag-maintain ng pong tamang blood pressure po natin sa araw-araw. So actually, ang aking pong research, naandun po talaga ako sa paghahanap nito pong mga prutas na meron pong kumbaga natural lang, nakakainin lang po natin, and then they will help sa pag-maintain po ng blood pressure po natin. Kasi I myself, ako po ay hypertensive. At nagte-take na din po ako ng medication. Kaya po ako, para sa akin, ako na rin po minsan yung nagiging human trial po nung pong mga fruits na ginagamit ko po sa research. Actually, hindi lang po sa mangga, may iba pa rin po akong mga fruits na tiningnan at nakita ko po talaga na nakakatulong po sila para po sa pag-maintain, at sa iba po ay para po mapababa talaga yung pong ating pong blood pressure. So, yun po.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Torrio. So, we have another question for Dr. Reyes. So, this one is from the Zoom Q&A from Mr. Marlo Del Rosario. So, are the local mushroom species in the study, can they be commercially reproduced at a large scale like those of the Boton, Cremini, or Portobello, oyster, and enoki mushrooms? Thank you.
Yes, definitely. Because our Tuklas Luna Center at CLSU was able to develop technology. Ang kailangan lang dito is yung mga fabricated equipment to industrialize the process. But the good thing there is we have developed the technology in order to make the mushroom available throughout the year. From January to December, there is no season because we were able to control the condition. We were able to unmask the nutritional as well as the physical factors required for the growth of mushroom. And we have the genetic materials. Naka-imbak na yon sa mga cryogenic freezers natin. And this is the thing that we can assure our mushroom growers that indeed mushroom production in the Philippines can be sustainable.
Thank you, sir. Another question regarding the products that you have already developed. Were the target consumers satisfied with the product? So I think this is regarding the consumer acceptability of the products that you have developed.
Yes, base doon sa pag-aaral na ginawa natin, yung ating mga food technologists dito, nakasama sa team, sila Prof. Rustia as well as sila Prof. Venus Lagmay, at yung ating dalawang magagaling na mga research assistants, si Kat at saka si Janina, ay pinag-aralan itong acceptability, yung market aspect nung component ng ating project, at lumalabas na talagang gusto ng mga Filipinos. Even before this project, meron na kaming mga initial work on the acceptability that Filipinos are mushroom eaters. This is the good thing. Ang maganda lang dito ngayon is we are offering them new mushroom-based products. Okay, ako pangarap ko na makikita sa palengke, hindi na yung fresh na kabuti, kundi yung mga produkto mula sa kabuti. Na kapag pupunta tayo sa ibang bansa, pag pupunta ako sa Tokyo, dinadalo ko yung mga professor ko doon, nagdadala ako ng mga mushroom-based products, yung mga pasalubong. And of course, nagkakaintindihan kami dahil iisa yung ginagawa namin. And they're so proud of us. No? Sabi nga nila, sana makita na rin ang Philippine-made products sa international market. Sabi ko naman sa kanila, mangyayari po yan pag nagtulong-tulong.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Reyes. So I think yung next question natin related pareho kay Dr. Israel at kay Dr. Atienza. So yung unang katanungan galing kay Miss Katleya Marie Reyniatko via Zoom. So magandang umaga po. Gaano karami pong local berries in grams or household measures para po magkaroon ng antioxidant effect? And related to that din po galing kay Mr. Arvin Tuanyo. May I ask how many grams of berries per day can be recommended for a person with a high blood cholesterol and triglycerides to eat so that these levels can be back to normal? And for how long shall we religiously eat these berries? So, yung isa po sa antioxidant kay Dr. Israel and yung pangalawang katanungan for Dr. Atienza. Mauna po muna siguro si Dr. Israel.
Yes, good morning ulit. Thank you for the question. So, Dr. Atienza can answer both questions kasi siya yung nag-aral po ng ating efficacy.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for that questions. Yung unang tanong ay kung gaano kadami ang may antioxidant na magkakos ng antioxidative stress effect. Ano po? So right now, we are still conducting or ongoing pa lang po ang studies namin in vivo, but we are using around 2 cups of berries per day. And to answer the question na gaano pong katagal, malalaman po natin after the study, but gusto lang po namin i-share sa inyo as early as now, together with my co-project leader from the Department of College of Veterinary Medicine in UP Los Baños, Dr. Amileta C. Estacio, na in 3-week supplementation, napawaw po ang team namin because we're always doing this regular meeting, updating weekly. Nakita po namin na grabe ang trend in the reduction of total cholesterol and triglyceride and low density lipoprotein cholesterol or yung bad cholesterol with berry supplementation, both Lipote po and Bignay. Pero what's more interesting ay magkaiba po ang performance ng dalawang Bignay na aming inaaral kasi may mga varieties po ng Bignay. Merong medyo malaki, meron ding mas maliit. So we are so much excited to see the final outcome of our study in the next few months. And hopefully po ay magdire-diretso yung nakikita naming trend na ito. Over 3 weeks supplementation po, nakita namin ang significant reduction. So ito pong study na ito as proposed to DOST will take around 2 months or to 3 months, depende po sa magiging trend. Pero yun po. At saka ito po ay preclinical studies and hopefully later on after this in vivo, we can again apply for a fund to do like a clinical trial, a randomized controlled trial, doing it to to human na. So we can answer we can have more kumbaga ay accurate answer kung hanggang kailan ba. So, yun po muna ang masasabi ko doon sa preliminary findings ng aming studies.
Okay, thank you Dr. Atienza. Actually, yung susunod na katanungan ay kung may plano nga daw kayong to test this on humans. So, nasagot na po ninyo.
Opo, sana po ay makakuha po ulit kami ng funding. Excited na po kami.
Definitely, pwedeng-pwede.
Saan daw po ba nakukuha or nakikita ang mga Bignay at Lipote dito sa Pilipinas, ma'am? So where can these indigenous berries be found?
Ayan. Sige, Ma'am Kat.
Sige. So ako naman ang sasagot. So ang atin pong mga Bignay and Lipote na source namin ay from Laguna and Quezon. Pero abundant po siya dito sa Calabarzon. So, mayroon na rin po tayong mga nagko-cultivate ng Bignay kasi madali lang po siyang patubuin. Cuttings lang po ay nakakapagpatubo na ng Bignay. Mabilis po siyang mag-grow and mamunga. Ang Lipote naman po, mas malaking puno po ito kaysa sa Bignay. So, medyo mahirap mag-source din ng Lipote. Naghanap din talaga po kami ng Lipote. Medyo mahirap po siyang hanapin. Tsaka rare po kasi siya. Pero siguro, in the future, pagka nakita natin na maganda po talaga ang Lipote for functional food, siguro marami na rin po ang tatanim ng Lipote. So far po, yung mga Bignay po na nakatanim po sa mga plantations, yan, ginagawa po nilang wine and juice. Yun po yung mga ginagawa po ng farmers natin so far sa Bignay. But then, ang dami ko rin po nakitang iba pang products sa market on Bignay and Lipote. Mas marami po sa Bignay actually. So I think after nitong aming mga findings, mas marami pang farmers natin ang maengganyo na mag-propagate ng ating mga Bignay and Lipote.
Thank you, Dr. Israel. Actually, ako din kakaumpisa ko lang magtanim ng Bignay. So,
may Bignay ako. Ang bilis tumubo, tama ka.
Opo.
In 1
Yes,
month,
sir.
parang makasintaas ko na yung sana mamunga.
Ako din, sir. Next, we have po para kay Yusek Guevara. Since these projects are still for commercialization, meron na daw po bang DOST-funded functional food products that are already available in the market?
Meron na galing sa FNRI at saka sa ITDI. So sa FNRI, it would be the iron fortified rice. Tapos may mga sila, iba't ibang klaseng. Ang ITDI, meron silang mga juice at saka meron silang mga naka-package ng special kasi packaging din is also being done by ITDI. So yes.
Okay.
Meron kaming mga assisted MSMEs na actually sila naman na nag-develop ng produkto pero tinulungan lang namin sila in terms of the facilities used for production. So halimbawa yung company na Herbanex Region 6 has come up with functional foods from Tawa-Tawa, okay? And there are others who came up with functional foods from Malunggay. Pero sila na nag-develop noon, kumuha na lang sila ng permit sa FDA.
Okay. So, related, actually nasagot na ni Secretary De La Peña yun sana yung susunod nating tanong na papaano tinutulungan ng DOST ang industry for the commercialization of research projects. May idadagdag pa kayo, sir? How DOST is engaging the industry?
Yusek Geb will explain how we help in commercialization.
We have several programs, Doon sa regional offices namin, merong small enterprise technology upgrading. And in some cases, nakatulong sila na mag-commercialize ng product from R&D tapos nilipat sa industry. Meron din kami yung Collaborative Research and Development to Leverage the Philippine Economy or CRADLE na yung industry matutulungan pagka kailangan niyang tumanggap ng ating R&D output at i-commercialize. Tapos meron din tayong tulong na nanggagaling mismo dun sa mga RDIs natin, Research and Development Institutes, na kung saan nagtatrain sila ng mga MSMEs para tumanggap din ng mga technologies. Pinaka-favorite ko example yung e-Nutriban, na ang dami na ngayong mga nagmamanufacture niyan sa Philippines. At yung FNRI, tinuruan nila yung mga bakery kung paano i-formulate at paano iluto at paano i-package itong e-Nutriban.
Thank you, Yusek Geb. So may mga ilang katanungan pa pero medyo limited na yung ating time. So siguro, I think this is for all project leaders. Do we go for organic produce for these specific products that you study? Galing po yung katanungan kay Miss Christine Gonzalez.
Okay, so ako na po mauuna.
Okay.
Okay, for our case sa aming commodities po kasi na bignay and lipote, hindi naman po siya kailangan i-fertilize, hindi kailangan mag-apply ng chemicals, kaya organic po talaga ang aming produktong kalalabasan. So, go for organic pa rin. Yan po.
Sa mango po kaya?
Ang mga ginamit ko pong samples ay galing po talaga sa puno. So actually kasama po ako talaga nung nag-sampling po kami sa iba't ibang lugar, sa Batangas, sa Guimaras, Zambales, at galing po talaga sa puno. And actually gusto ko lang pong idagdag kasi hindi naman po ito kasama dun sa project ko, pero ang ginawa po namin, yung pong balat ng mangga, pati po yung buto niya, hindi po namin itinapon. So may ginawa po kaming process para po kumbaga magkaroon pa rin po ng later po ay ma-commercialize po siya at actually ipopropose ko po yung project. Titingnan din po namin ang anti-hypertensive activities nito pong mga to para po walang natatapon. Yung po yung aming pong susunod na proposal. And we are also thinking, since yung pong angiotensin converting enzyme is related to COVID-19, lalo na po dun sa kanyang infection, yun po sa virus na ito. So we are trying to look at kung sakali po na itong aming peptides ay nakabind na po dito po sa angiotensin converting enzyme na ito, magkakaroon po ba siya ng positive or negative effect dito sa virus? I mean, makaka-infect pa po ba ang virus kung ang aming pong peptide ay naka-attach na doon po sa angiotensin converting enzyme? So actually, meron na po kaming mga preliminary in silico studies at maganda po yung result. At ito po ay isasama ko po sa proposal and hopefully mapandin po ulit ng PCHRD. Thank you po.
Ay ma'am, may pahabol lang na tanong po sa inyo kasi usually daw ang mangga kinakain with bagoong. So this question came from Rainier Alan Ronda. So how about bagoong and or salt with Carabao mango? So most Filipinos eat Carabao mango with bagoong. Won't this cause health problems as a result?
Okay, ganito po. Yung pong Carabao mango po na nakitaan po namin talaga ng highest inhibition activity ay yung pong ripe. So actually, diningnan din po namin yung unripe, yung pong kulay green pa po, at meron din naman po siya. Hindi nga lang po kasing taas nung sa ripe. Now, pag yun po ay ikinumbine natin with yung pong bagoong, alam naman po natin itong mga to ay mataas po sa salt. So baka po mag-produce ng iba pong sakit kung yan po ay depende po kung kaano karami yung pong ating pong magiging intake. So dahil yan po ay high in salt, so baka po mag-develop ng ibang sakit. So pwede pong makatulong sa hypertension pero hindi po ako sigurado kung makakatulong po iyon sa iba namang sakit na pwede pong makuha out of eating high foods with very high salt concentration.
Professor, pwede akong dagdag lang. Ay, si Secretary. Sige, sir.
Tsaka pag na-develop naman yung functional food, hindi naman yun yung manggang hilaw na isasawag mo sa bagoong. So, na yun, standardized product na yun.
Halimbawa, tsaka hidog daw. Hidog naman yung mataas ang antihypertensive.
Kapsula yun, hindi mo na isasawag sa bagoong yun.
Oo. Hindi, idadagdag ko lang sana na kung ikaw ay hypertensive in the first place, talagang dapat hindi ka magkaano na bagoong kasi ang taas-taas ng salt content niya. So baka ma-cancel out lang lahat ng benefits ng kakainin mo kung mahilig ka pa rin sa bagoong. No?
Okay, siguro last question na po para kay Dr. Reyes. So this is from Miss Annabel Sorara. So may posibilidad po ba na makatulong sa paglunas ng kanser ang kabute?
Yes, mayroon. Kasi may mga previous works na patungkol sa medicinal attributes ng kabute as anti-cancer. Yung ibang mga kasama natin sa labas ng Pilipinas ay mayroon ng pag-aaral. Yung mga collaborators din natin ay nag-aral na rin patungkol sa anti-cancer properties ng mushroom natin, ng mushroom in general. No? Dito sa atin ay nakakakita tayo ng promise. Yung grupo nila Dr. Jerry Undan ng CLS Utuklas Lunas team natin ay nag-aaral ng patungkol sa anti-cancer attributes ng ating mga Philippine mushroom candidates. So far maganda yung yung output natin, no? Yung mga results na lumalabas na nagko-corroborate sa mga other findings ng ibang mga siyentista sa ibang panig ng mundo. But ito lang ay sa ating Philippine mushrooms. Okay?
Sir, habol po natin yung question ni Nieves Capili. So are the mushrooms sold in the supermarkets able to function as antioxidants when ingested as viand ingredient? So pag hinalo daw sa ulam.
Yes, meron na kami mga previous works on antioxidants ng ating mga mushrooms. And even sa ACE, no, yung prior to our class funding, ay nagpapatunay na meron talaga. No? Kasi nga, considered as floral materials itong mga ito. So merong mga ganitong mga constituents, itong mga mushrooms natin. Even yung mga commercially available ay mayroon. Yung mga inoki, yung portobello, lahat ng yan. No? Basta kabute ay mayroong antioxidant activities.
Okay,
You
thank
can
you.
refer to some of our publications that can be accessed over the net.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Siguro ihabol na din natin tong katanungan ni Mr. Jason Alcano kay Dr. Israel. Yung bignay at lipote po ba ay endemic sa Pilipinas?
Ano po siya, marami din po siya sa ibang bansa like Malaysia, Indonesia, neighboring natin ng mga countries. No? Pero dito po sa atin, marami rin po tayong bignay and lipote. In fact, maraming varieties po din tayo na available. No, pero yung sa aming project, dalawa lang po yung naaral namin na variety. Pero mas marami pa pong pwede pang ibang variety na ma-explore. Na yung mga varieties na yun ay yun yung mga endemic sa Pilipinas.
Kay from Mr. Rainier Ronda, ma'am, is blanching recommended for bignay and lipote daw po?
Okay, so if you will eat it fresh, hindi na po kailangan i-blanch. Kainin nyo na po diretso. Pero kung medyo i-store nyo siya kasi we want to inactivate the enzymes. So particularly yung mga enzymes na magde-degrade ng phenolics, and this can be deactivated if we blanch them. So kung i-store nyo po siya sa ref ninyo, maganda po i-blanch nyo po muna.
Okay, thank you very much. It looks like we've covered all of our questions. So thank you very much, everyone, for your questions and for the productive discussion on our functional food efforts. So if you have remaining questions that you still want us to answer, you may send us a message through our Facebook page at FB/DOST-PCHRD. So we will try to address them online. So to give a final message for our media partners and attendees, allow me to give the virtual floor to a champion of science, technology, and innovation, DOST Undersecretary for Research and Development, USEC Rowena Cristina Guevara, for her closing remarks.
Thank you, Professor. Department of Science and Technology Secretary Fortunato T. de la Peña, the UST Philippine Council for Health Research and Development Executive Director, Dr. Jaime Montoya, our project leaders, Dr. Mary Antorio, Dr. Renato G. Reyes, Dr. Catherine Ann Castillo Israel, and Dr. Lizelle Atienza, our moderator, Professor Rowena Grace Sanchez, to the rest of the project team members, our dear friends from the media, and everyone joining us virtually, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. On behalf of the DOST, thank you to all our media partners who continue to help us bring relevant, up-to-date, and accurate research information to the public. As the National Agency for Science and Technology Activities, we strive to support our Filipino researchers from research conceptualization to technology transfer and research dissemination. While each stage of this process is important, only when a technology reaches its intended users can it change the lives of the Filipino people, which is the ultimate goal of our efforts. This is why we value your efforts and the role of the media in bringing S&T to the masses through communication. Today, we share the accomplishments of the Functional Foods Program, showing how our researchers harness nutritional benefits from resources abundant in the country. We learned that our Carabao mangoes from Batangas, Zambales, Guimaras, and Davao are not only delicious, but that they also have the potential in helping us address hypertension as a pressing health concern. In Central Luzon, our researchers are studying the nutritional benefits of wild, edible, and poisonous mushrooms and how some of these can be developed into functional food products. We are also exploring underutilized crops such as the local berries, lipote, and bignay as antioxidants and their possible effects on metabolic disorders. When successfully commercialized, the positive impacts of these projects are expected to cut across several sectors of the society. Aside from the health benefits of these functional foods, they may also help our Filipino farmers increase the value of their crops in the market and in turn uplift the agricultural sector and the economy. This is why we always emphasize the importance of sharing our R&D efforts to as many Filipinos as possible through various platforms, including the mainstream media, to increase the appreciation of our Filipino researchers and to attract potential investors and users of our locally made products and technologies. With this, on behalf of the DOST, we hope that you will continue to work with us in communicating research and development, or R&D, to the public. There is definitely more to look forward to in health R&D on functional foods, as well as other research areas supported by DOST PCHRD. The Council is set to present its current efforts and projects in the pipeline for the health research through a series of activities to celebrate its 40th anniversary this March 2022. Seeing the progress that we have made, especially in the past year, I am excited to know what is in store for us, and I hope you can join us as well in this celebration. Again, thank you to our friends from media for being here today and engaging in informative discussion through this platform. We hope to see you all in the upcoming installations of the Talakayang Heartbeat. Maraming salamat po at magandang agham sa ating lahat.
Okay, thank you very much, Yusek Guevara. So without a doubt, Talakayang Heartbeat showed us how R&D will help us provide scientific and up-to-date knowledge on the crops and food products and their potential to provide alternative and healthier food products to fight malnutrition in the Philippines. So before our final reminders, may we ask everyone to open their cameras for a virtual photo op. We would also like to request all to use the finger heart gesture. So that symbolizes the heart in heartbeat.
Okay po, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay na po. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So once again, we would like to thank our friends from the media for joining us today. We hope that by helping us share the works of our health researchers to a wider audience, more will be interested to engage in the field. To attendees who missed some parts of the program or for those who wish to review the presentation and forum again, you may access a replay of this press conference through the DOST PCHRD Facebook page at facebook.com/DOST PCHRD. We also invite you to give the DOST PCHRD FB page a like and to follow the DOST PCHRD Twitter page at DOST_PCHRD for updates on future Talakayang Heartbeat press conferences. Again, this is Associate Professor Rowena Grace Sanchez. Maraming salamat po for joining us in today's event. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor, for moderating.
Thank you
Thank you to
po.
everyone.
Stay safe po.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Stay safe.
Bye.